Look, immigration is one of the most polarizing topics in the United States today. Some states have embraced immigrants, recognizing their vital contributions to society, but others, they've slammed the door shut, tightening laws, stripping protections, and making life incredibly difficult for migrants. Now think about this. What does it mean to live in a state where being an immigrant feels like a crime, where policies are designed to push you out rather than welcome you in? In this video, we'll explore the top 10 states where immigrants face the harshest challenges, from tough enforcement measures to outright bans on sanctuary cities. Stay with us to uncover how these policies are reshaping lives, communities, and the entire national debate on immigration. Let's dive in. Alabama has long been a poster child for tough immigration policies. Look, back in 2011, Alabama introduced HB 56, one of the harshest immigration laws in the nation. This law didn't just target undocumented workers. It required schools to check the immigration status of students and made it illegal to assist undocumented individuals in almost any capacity. Now think about this. Families pulled their children out of schools, immigrants fled the state, and businesses suffered from labor shortages. While parts of the law were later struck down, Alabama's reputation for hostility toward immigrants remains, with strict enforcement policies still in place. Arizona has been at the center of the immigration debate for years. Look, the state made national headlines with SB 1070, also known as the Show Me Your Papers law. This controversial law empowered law enforcement to check the immigration status of anyone they stopped or detained. Now think about this. Even though parts of the law were struck down by the Supreme Court, Arizona's policies remain some of the toughest in the country. The state's proximity to the Mexican border makes it a hotspot for immigration enforcement, with countless checkpoints, detention centers, and deportation raids taking place regularly. Florida is a state of contrasts. On one hand, it's home to vibrant immigrant communities in cities like Miami, but on the other, its policies have taken a sharp turn against migrants in recent years. Look, under recent leadership, Florida passed laws requiring employers to verify immigration status using E-Verify. It's also restricted local governments from providing any kind of sanctuary protections. Now think about this. The state's booming industries like agriculture and tourism rely heavily on immigrant labor, but with stricter policies in place, many migrants are leaving, causing labor shortages and economic strain. Florida is sending a clear message: immigrants are not welcome here. Everything's bigger in Texas, including its stance on immigration. Look, as a border state, Texas has taken immigration enforcement into its own hands with initiatives like Operation Lone Star, which allocated billions of dollars for state-led border security. Now think about this. Texas has banned sanctuary cities, increased cooperation with ICE, and even deployed the National Guard to the border. While the state's economy benefits from immigrant labor, especially in construction and agriculture, its policies make life nearly impossible for undocumented workers and their families. Mississippi stands out for its relentless immigration enforcement tactics, particularly its large-scale workplace raids. Look, in 2019, a single operation led to the arrest of nearly 700 undocumented workers in one of the largest workplace immigration raids in U.S. history. Families were shattered, and entire communities were left reeling. Now think about this. Mississippi relies heavily on immigrant labor, especially in industries like poultry processing and agriculture. These workers, often undocumented, are the backbone of these sectors. But instead of protecting them, the state's aggressive tactics send a clear message: you're not welcome here. Without sanctuary policies or any legal protections, Mississippi's immigrants live under constant threat of detention and deportation. For families, it means living in fear. Georgia, the Peach State, might seem like an unlikely candidate for strict immigration laws, but look closely, and you'll see a harsh reality. The state mandates the use of E-Verify for all public and private employers, ensuring that every worker's immigration status is scrutinized. Now think about this. Undocumented students aren't even allowed to attend some of Georgia's public colleges, effectively cutting off access to higher education. For immigrant families, it feels like every door is being slammed shut. Despite this, Georgia's economy heavily depends on immigrant labor, especially in agriculture, where thousands of migrant workers ensure the success of the state's crops. But with such strict policies, the state faces growing labor shortages, forcing some farmers to leave crops rotting in the fields. It's a lose-lose situation, where both communities and businesses are paying the price. Tennessee has steadily climbed the ranks of states hostile to immigrants. Look, the state has passed legislation penalizing local governments that refuse to cooperate with ICE, effectively banning sanctuary cities. Now think about this. In Tennessee, even minor traffic violations can lead to deportation for undocumented residents. For industries like construction and agriculture, which depend heavily on immigrant labor, these policies are causing major disruptions. Yet, Tennessee continues to double down on enforcement, creating an environment where fear overshadows hope for thousands of immigrant families. Oklahoma may not get the same attention as other states, but don't let that fool you. It's one of the strictest enforcers of immigration laws in the U.S. Look, Oklahoma was among the first states to adopt mandatory e-verify, requiring all public employers and contractors to check the immigration status of their workers. The state has also passed laws restricting undocumented immigrants from receiving public benefits, making life even harder for those trying to survive. Now think about this. Immigrants make up a significant portion of Oklahoma's workforce, especially in agriculture, construction, and service industries. Yet, the state's harsh policies are driving many away, leaving businesses struggling to fill essential roles. Without sanctuary protections, immigrants in Oklahoma live under constant surveillance, knowing that even minor encounters with law enforcement could lead to detention or deportation. It's a quiet but effective strategy that creates an atmosphere of fear, pushing immigrant communities further into the shadows. South Carolina, with its beautiful coastline and thriving tourism industry, might not seem like a state that would target immigrants, but make no mistake, this state enforces some of the strictest immigration laws in the nation. Look, South Carolina was among the first states to pass laws banning sanctuary cities. It also mandates that law enforcement check the immigration status of anyone they arrest, no matter how minor the charge. Now think about this. Many of the workers fueling the state's industries, whether in agriculture, construction, or tourism, are immigrants. Yet, they face constant threats of deportation and discrimination. These policies don't just harm immigrant communities, they also create a chilling effect on businesses, leaving them struggling to find workers. In the long run, the state's harsh stance could cost more than it gains. Finally, let's head to Indiana, a state that might not make headlines for its immigration policies, but is quietly implementing some of the strictest measures in the Midwest. Look, Indiana requires public employers and contractors to use e-verify, ensuring that undocumented workers have no way to find stable employment. The state also fully cooperates with ICE, allowing local law enforcement to detain immigrants for minor infractions while awaiting federal action. Now think about this. Indiana's economy depends on immigrant labor in sectors like agriculture and manufacturing, but these policies discourage immigrants from settling in the state, leading to labor shortages and slowing economic growth. For immigrant families, Indiana represents a place of uncertainty, where every interaction with law enforcement could mean the end of their dreams in America. It's a quiet but powerful form of enforcement that's reshaping communities across the state. These 10 states represent a growing trend in the United States, one where immigration policies are becoming increasingly restrictive. Now think about this. While these measures aim to enforce the law, they also have unintended consequences, breaking apart families, hurting local economies, and creating division in communities. What do you think about these policies? Do they protect the nation, or do they cause more harm than good? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into the most pressing issues of our time. Stay informed and stay engaged.